Yeah, I'm ready, Lonnie. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, happy Sunday. Welcome to everyone in the church and everyone online. Here we go. We're going to start this Temple of the Living God in St. Petersburg, Florida. Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is driving me wild. I see the kids in the street, but not enough to eat. Could it be really me pretending not to see their need? A willow deeply scarred, a money's broken heart, and a washed up man. They follow each other on the wind, you know, 'cause they got no place to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starving with a man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Na na na, na 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 na. Na na na, na 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 na. I've been a victim of selfish kind of love. It's time that I realize that there are those with no home, not a nickel to loan. Could it be really me pretending that they're not alone? Someone's disregard, somebody's broken heart, and a washed up dream. They follow each other on the windy sea, 'cause they got no place to be. That's why I want you to see I'm starving with a man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his way. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. I'm starving with a man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. You gotta get it right while you got the chance. You can't close your mind, your mind, your mind, your mind. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. All right.
Yes, Teresa? Oh. Welcome to the Temple of the Living God in St. Petersburg, Florida. Today's message will be lovingly brought to you by our very own Reverend Carmen Lucis. The title is Appreciating Our Birthright. My inspirational reading today comes from the book Tomorrow's God by Neil Donald Walsh. God, the force, the energy, the design, the experience that some call divinity, shows itself in your life in the way that is exactly and perfectly suited to the time, place, and situation at hand. You either call that experience God, or you call it something else. Coincidence, synchronicity, random event, whatever. Yet what you call it does not change what it is. It merely indicates your belief system about it. If you believe that the way life is showing itself to you now is God, you will see it as God. If you do not believe that the way life is showing itself to you now is God, you will not see it as God. Some say that seeing is believing, but I tell you that believing is seeing. And so it is. Now please, welcome back to the stage, Steve Isaac.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. And I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now. The pain is gone, and all of the bad feelings have disappeared. And here is the rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue sky. Look all around, nothing but blue sky. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. And I can see all obstacles in my way. And here is the rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna get bright. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Beautiful song. There's a phenomenal story about a culture that celebrates and appreciates their birthright. Author Alan Cohen, some of you may be familiar with his writing. He's a well-known New Thought author and friend. He talks about an African culture where when a woman knows, when she knows that she is pregnant, she goes out into the wilderness with her friends, and they stay out there until they hear the song for the child. And when the woman is ready, she sings it. And then they go back to the village, and they gather in the community, and they teach others the song for this child to be born. When the child is born, the village sings the song to the child. When the child enters school, again, the community gathers around and sings that song to the child. When there is marriage, that song is heard. And at the end of life, then those of the family and friends come to the bedside, and they sing the song that's been designated for that person. And there's one more area that's talked about, that if a child or a young person does something that is harmful or disruptive in the community, then they bring that child into the center of the town, and they all gather around and they sing that song to that person. Pretty powerful when you think about how this particular culture honors each other's birthright. Wow. It's a very unique tradition that particular culture has, and of course many cultures have their traditions. And we bless and we serve others by reminding them of their true self, the wonder that they are, don't we? Yeah. Alan Cohen, he writes in his book, and I quote, "A friend is someone who knows your song and sings it to you when you have forgotten it yourself." Unquote. You know, each of us, each of our souls has its own song. Each one of us has a distinctive energy and purpose, and we know that, right? And when we know that, when we are in touch with the gifts that we've been given and we express them, then our hearts feel complete, don't they? Yeah. When we disconnect ourselves from our passions, there are times in where we feel an empty feeling inside, like something's missing. And we might even ask, well, what's the purpose? Right. And in those moments, we need to be reminded of the love that we are, of the magnificence that we are. And we need to recognize our own soul's song. How many of you saw the movie Happy Feet? With the penguins? Of course, the main penguin, Mumble, was his name, right? He found his soul song in his dance steps, right? And he proved that being true to oneself, one can make a huge difference in the world. If you haven't seen that movie, I encourage you to see it. It will bring delight and light to your heart. And so when we authentically express our abilities, when we do so, we even bring healing to ourselves as we get back in touch with the music of our soul. Last weekend, I had the wonderful opportunity to attend the symphony with some temple friends. And as we sat there and listened, we marveled at the musicians' talent and how they together created such beautifully inspiring music. And for me, it brought back memories of when I had the occasion to also perform in an orchestra on stage, and how we had the opportunity to shine our light as part of who we were in expression as a collective whole. And just as those who were performing these amazing melodies last week, The music itself left a distinctive impression on each person's soul in a very positive, uplifting, inspiring, and even mesmerizing fashion at times. And it was though a moment in time was set aside for each of us to reflect and remember perhaps our soul song, our purpose. When we continue to shine our light in all that we do, in a way that honors our creativity, our divinity, our true essence, it becomes a magnetic force that draws other people to us. And I'm sure that we've experienced that in our lives. But that also gives other people permission to shine their own light, right? Our main task in life is to give birth to ourselves over and over and over again. Plato once said, and I quote, "To begin is the most important part of any quest, and by far the most courageous." If our souls chose to be born into this incarnation, perhaps we each need to recognize how courageous each of us has been from the beginning, just to be here in this experience called Earth, right? Each of us is here to remember, to embrace the radiant, the sacred essence of who we are. And, as we heard earlier, not to accept anyone's belief that totally speaks against that. We've heard in the Bible where it says, "Ye are the light of the world." Buddha once said, to live purely, to be in our quietness, to do our work with mastery, and like the moon, come out from behind the clouds and shine and radiate boundless love towards the entire world. End of quote. So our work in the world is to discover who we are and then apply ourselves completely with all our heart to those things that sing to our soul. And it's been said that we are here to do everything with so much love in our hearts that we would never want to do it any other way. Isn't that powerful? Yeah. I grew up in a culture where not only birthdays were celebrated, but name days, where the first name that we have been given is honored on a greater scale than even birthdays. Now, some of you may identify with this, depending what culture you came from. Well, we here in the temple, we have an understanding that, of course, individual souls choose when we're born and into which families we're born, right? And if that idea is comfortable for you, I would invite you to consider that perhaps we also chose the names that we have. Even though it appears that our parents have chosen our names, perhaps on the soul level, we already had communicated with their souls at some point prior to us arriving, that the birth name that we have now is, in fact, the name that we chose ahead of time. In the Latvian culture in which I was born, the calendar names, calendar days, have been assigned various names, up to about 4 names per day, which comes out to about 1,000 names across the course of the year. So in many Latvian families, they acknowledge the family members and friends by gifting them with flowers and a special traditional cake that's made for such occasions. And friends would come over unannounced. Unlike birthdays where, you're invited to a gathering, but unannounced to the home in order to celebrate you, to appreciate you, to honor you for your day. That's pretty powerful. The name days are a tradition that had been going on in Latvia since the late 1700s, and in other countries too, since the Middle Ages, that they have been acknowledged. And what a wonderful way to appreciate or pay tribute to one's birthright every year, Of course, when we are born into existence, we know and understand that we come from Source, right? From love, from Creator. And we are a reflection of that. That's our birthright. As children, all of us are tuned into love because we have not yet drifted from the recognition of who we are. We all know that. We are born ready to love and to be loved. Then as years go by, we have to remember our truth again as we come back into alignment with who we are. And even though society often separates us with all its conditioning from the knowledge of our true identity, here we are in this sacred and welcoming space. And our souls already made the agreement a long time ago to join together in this spiritual community where we are welcomed and supported, appreciated, and reminded of our individuality, our divine birthright. And as, again, we heard before, living consciously helps us to hold our connection to the love, the kindness, and compassion that is our natural state of being. In Buddhism, in the Course of Miracles, in the Kabbalah, in many Eastern teachings, they remind us of the importance of waking up to who we really are and honoring our birthright. And whether or not the people in our lives have consistently appreciated and honored who we are in our lives, we deserve to appreciate, accept, and celebrate our own existence as we move forward in life with confidence and in peace. Dr. Wayne Dyer once wrote, and I quote, "Know that success and inner peace are your birthright, that you are a child of God, and as such, you are entitled to a life filled with love, joy, and happiness." End of quote. And it's been said that through loving kindness, everyone and everything can flower again from within. It is our birthright to live a life of meaning and purpose. Several years ago, I was waiting at an airport in Tampa for a flight to Buffalo. And there was a gentleman and his young little girl, maybe 4 or 5 years of age, and they were playing the game of hide and seek. And so the little girl, as the father turned around, little girl ran behind the pole, and the father counts to 10, and then he's walking around. "Where is my little girl? Where has she gone? I can't seem to see my little girl." And after a while, the little girl comes from behind the pole, and she's saying, "Here I am, Daddy. Here I am." And the father's up here, and he's, "Where is my little girl? I just can't see her." And the little girl says, "Daddy, I'm over here. I'm over here. You have to open your eyes to see me." So, of course, well, at that moment, the father's eyes were closed, and he opens them, and he looks down, and he says, "There you are. There you are. I can see you. I can really see you." So I thought about that for a while, and I thought, isn't that interesting? That when we close our eyes spiritually, how we don't clearly see. But when we awaken and now open our eyes spiritually, how much more clearly we can see. What a wonderful reminder for each of us that when we are looking at one another, that we look for the beauty and the light and the radiance, because we can see. Yeah. You know, perhaps every night should end in fireworks. And I'll tell you why. As a reminder that we allowed our light to shine all day for all to see. And as we are aglow in our light, we can always know that there is a sacred energy that is guiding us every day. And perhaps even a myriad of colors that shimmer forth around us. Well, last weekend at the concert, when we stepped outside, a few of us stepped outside, all of a sudden, there were fireworks in the air. There were a series of brilliant lights that were there to be seen, to be welcomed, and to be applauded. And it was as though then a moment in time stood still again for us to experience and be reminded of our own lights and how welcomed we all are, how treasured and how cherished we are, and how valued each of us are as the divine representation of that light and that love. And we are here to live our life on purpose, illuminating the world with our own lights, and sometimes with different colors. And there that evening, there was also a breeze, a pretty strong breeze, and the wind was blowing streaks of smoke from the fireworks, creating all sorts of organic shapes in the air, which just kind of quickly passed us by. And then I thought, likewise, with ourselves, the trails of our energies, as we put those forth, that they're carried on, and we may never know how we bless someone else's life. And we don't need to know, but knowing that as we put forth our love, our kindness, our compassion to the world, it goes out in those rippling effects as well. And that is what our birthright is meant to do. So perhaps the fireworks then were and are a reminder for all of us to do good in the world, to go forth, making a difference wherever we can, moment by moment. And as we appreciate our birthright, I'd like to end with this quote from Buddha, who stated, "One moment can change a day. One day can change a life. And one life can change the world." And so it is. Thank you. Blessings. So as we move into our time of tithes and offerings, we invite you to take your tithes and your gifts in your hands and bless them. And as the ushers come forth at this time to collect the offering, Let us know that the gifts that we share, that come from our hearts, bless and multiply each one of us, not only in our lives, but here in the temple. And we affirm that divine love moving in and through each and every one of us blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. And as we close out the service, we will hear once again music by Steve Isaac, Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
We are by, and the dreams that you dreamed of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, the birds fly. The dreams that you dreamed of, dreams really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star, I wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, and I am on the chimney top. That's where you'll find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dare to, oh why can I see trees of green, I see red roses too, and I watch them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, I see clouds of white, and the brightness of day. Well, I like the dark, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of the people passing by. I see friends shaking hands saying, how do you do? Well, they're really saying, I love you. Babies crying, they'll watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, Sunday, everybody.